If you're someone who owes the IRS more than $100,000, you're probably feeling overwhelmed right now because when you owe over $100,000, the IRS is much more likely to proceed aggressively. I'm Bob Jablonsky with Jablonsky Tax Relief. I'm an enrolled agent and certified tax resolution specialist, and I help taxpayers nationwide resolve their IRS collection problems. In this video, I'm going to explain what typically happens when IRS debt exceeds $100,000 and what options may be available for you. First, let's talk about what usually gets taxpayers into this situation. In most cases, six-figure IRS debt doesn't happen overnight. While in some cases it may occur in 1 year, it often results from multiple years of late filed returns, self-employment income without estimated tax payments, business problems, unexpected financial hardships, or simply ignoring the problem while those penalties and interest continue to grow. Once your balance reaches this level, it makes sense that the IRS generally is going to pay closer attention. While that doesn't mean a revenue officer will automatically show up at your door tomorrow, these larger balances often receive increased scrutiny compared to smaller debts. It also means that a revenue officer may very well be assigned to your account, which means your account will be overseen by a specific revenue officer whose goal is to attempt to resolve the issue as quickly as possible. If all of your required tax returns have not been filed, the IRS is generally going to expect you to get those filed very quickly. If they have been filed, the IRS is going to expect you to either pay your balance in full, enter into a payment arrangement, or demonstrate why you cannot fully pay the tax debt. One mistake I frequently see is taxpayers assuming they have no options because the balance is too large. That simply is not true. You have several collection alternatives that may be available depending on your financial situation. Many taxpayers assume that the IRS require full payment within a few years, which they can't handle. In reality, the IRS is going to look at your ability to pay as well as the time remaining before the collection statute its expiration date, often known as the CSAD. And in most situations, taxpayers with balances over $100,000 will qualify for monthly payment plans. You may actually be able to enter into a partial pay installment agreement. What's that mean? It means where your payment that you're going to be required to make is going to be less than is required to fully pay your tax debt within the CSAD, and any additional difference will be written off. However, you have to prove that that is the payment amount that you could qualify for. Another option is currently not collectible status, CNC. This is when your income only covers your necessary living expenses and you're not able to pay the IRS anything. So in those cases, the IRS may temporarily suspend active collection efforts. Penalties and interest are generally going to continue to accrue. It can provide you the immediate financial relief you need to be able to survive at that point and get back on track. You may have also heard those advertisements for settling your debt for less than the full amount. That program is called an offer in compromise. It is a legitimate IRS program, but qualification is going to depend on your ability to pay, not on how much you owe. Some taxpayers with balances of over $100,000 qualify, while others with much smaller balances do not. I've had cases where clients have owed well over $100,000 and they settle for $5,000 or less. So it is possible, but the key factor is your financial condition. Not everyone is going to qualify. Now let's talk about IRS enforcement. Can the IRS levy your bank account or garnish your wages if you owe over $100,000? Yeah, they can. However, the IRS generally follows a process before taking enforced collection action. You're going to receive multiple notices, and you're going to receive a final notice of intent to levy before the levy occurs. And if you respond appropriately and on time with a request for a CDP appeal, you may be able to stop collection activity while you're exploring those other resolution options. Another concern people have is whether they will go to jail. For the great majority of cases, the answer is no. The IRS simply wants you to get into compliance and to resolve your tax debt. They just want you to get back on track. So what's the greater risk? The greater risk is ignoring the problem entirely. You either are just frozen in your tracks from fear or just you don't know what to do, or you intentionally avoid the IRS. The longer the debt remains unresolved, the more penalties and interest accrue, and the greater the likelihood that the IRS is going to take some collection action. Think levies and liens. If you owe over $100,000, the most important things you can do is to start by understanding where you stand. Obtain your IRS transcripts. There you can make sure all your returns have been filed and understand how much is actually owed. Once you determine where you stand, you should review your financial situation. Finally, once you understand where you stand with the IRS and how the IRS is going to interpret your financial situation, you can evaluate all of the available resolution options before choosing the one that works best for you. So the reality is every case is different. I've seen taxpayers with six-figure balances qualify for manageable payment plans, get into currently not collectible status, and even succeed with offers in compromise. The worst approach is assuming there is no solution and doing nothing. That's when revenue officers get assigned to your case and when levies and liens are filed. You're going to be in much better shape by taking action before the IRS does. So if you owe the IRS and would like help in understanding your options, visit the link that I left below in the pinned comment as well as in the description, or give us a call at 972-821-1991. And if you found this video helpful, please like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who may be dealing with IRS debt. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.